Another day, another FPL pod. Jack, how you doing?
Josh, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, really good. Once again, we're recording mid-game week, mid-big doubler, so we're exactly halfway through, aren't we? The double. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I mean the fixture spread in recent weeks. How there is no way not to record mid-game week, is there? It's just everywhere. But yeah, good to be recording in the day. You can see the sunlight in the background. You know, it's just middle of the day, fresh minds.
Let us know, listeners, if we're any different to normal. We might be different in the day, in the lunchtime day.
Way worse.
Much worse. Much worse. Bit groggy for a morning of work. But no, it's good. We're doing you. We're sticking by you, listeners. We're squeezing this in the schedule, so you've got a full week to consume it. Hopefully we'll have some good tips for you. Some good tips and tricks.
That's the plan.
Yeah. So what's on the schedule, Josh? What are we talking about?
Back to a more simple layout now. That 36 is, will be done by the time you're picking your team, the Mammoth 36. So we're going to look back at 36 where we are so far. So we are recording on Tuesday. Liverpool game's tonight, so still a few fixtures to come.
Yeah.
But 37 is coming thick and fast, so we need to get this out. Then we're going to look at 37, and it is a double again. There's always something to consider this season. So we're going to go through the doublers, best assets, what to consider with the fixture congestion, and then just talk about our plans to finish up.
Sounds good to me. Short and snappy, breezy. I like it.
Breezy.
So we're exactly halfway, Josh, through game week 36. How are you getting on? With this big game week?
Not too bad. I'm on 51 points, so a green arrow currently. I'm kind of kicking around the 275,000 overall rank mark, which is, it's a green arrow, so I'll take that.
Decent.
But, yeah, thank you. My one change for this week was Richarlison in for
nice.
Werner. So that's not too bad. I'm not displeased with that. But yeah, kind of Edison, Cancelo getting decent points for me so far. Foden as well with a 6-pointer, coming off the bench and doing bits. Love you, Foden.
Cool.
Watkins, with the 5 points. Richarlison mentioned him already with the 5 points. Salah blanking, I hate him. And then just bench boost as well. So Foster's come in with 4 points for me off the bench, and then just kind of other blanks on the bench as well. But it's so hard to gauge where you are because you're right. There's so many more games to come, so it can turn. But so far, not too bad, Jack. Not too bad.
Very good. Yeah, I feel like before that City game, quite a few people were looking a bit ropey, weren't they? But then likes of there's quite a few Laporte owners. He obviously smashed it. Cancelo, everyone's got 9 points. But yeah, yourself with Edison and Foden. When Foden came on, I was happy. 1 point guaranteed, and then they just do what they do. They win so many games 5-0 and 4-0, don't they? Teams just give up, don't they, against them?
Yeah, and, as a Liverpool fan, that goal difference has gone out the window. And I was looking at the stats ahead of our, us chatting today, and the goals scored in the last kind of 6-7 game weeks, and it's just City are just dominant.
They are. They choke hold the teams, don't they? Once they get like 2 goals up, they just unless they're playing Real Madrid, but they do. But like you say, it's very much okay. Nothing too amazing in that first half. Pretty kind of average single game week that first half, I would say. A lot of people on 40-50 points, so it'll come down to this second batch of fixtures. I guess we'll talk about the Salah captaincy later, but he's really not in form, is he? I saw a graphic yesterday that showed his pre-AFCON and post-AFCON form and returns, and it's just night and day with Salah. So I think that understandably took a bit out of him, that AFCON debacle.
This could be an issue, but I think he's just not on form. Like, his decision making is poor at the moment. That's evident. He is getting into goal scoring opportunities. His XG is still decent, but the returns aren't there at the moment. I think he just wants that golden boot and he's making poor decisions. He
Maybe
sees
that's
Son
in his head.
breathing down his neck as well. But yeah, we'll talk about that. We haven't even done your team, Jack, yet. So tell me how you're doing.
Sure thing. Yeah, similar to you, really, man. 56 points. Most of mine came before that City game because I've only got Cancelo. So I was really happy before that game. But only really because of Nketiah, I suppose, with the 13-pointer. I mean, when those 2 goals went in initially, it was like, I'm really going to eat here. But then they obviously didn't do anything after that. But yeah, it was going all right. Again, like you, Salah captaincy, which I'm regretting now, really. But we kind of reasoned, didn't we, in the last pod, that being able to bench boost is kind of differential enough, gives you enough of an edge that you don't have to risk with the captain. So I'm kind of like not too remorseful over that. We'll see how he does against Villa tonight. But the big disappointment was the Chelsea defence, Alonso and James with a point each. And what made that worse was the 2 defenders that I'd kind of toyed with bringing in. Your tip, Mikalenko, getting that goal, and Laporte, both killing it. And then with Alonso and James at 1 point, I'm sort of like, I can't remember a time when I've been more consumed by a decision than I was last week. Every single day I was like, do I take James out? Do I take Alonso out? Do I take Robertson out? Do I bring Mikalenko in? Like, it was just back and forth right to the deadline, the last hour, and I just thought, forget it,
do nothing.
And I should have taken that. There's that famous bit of advice that goes, I can't remember who said it, it's probably not even some philosopher, it's probably like Kobe Bryant or someone, but they're saying something like, if you're on a kind of a knife edge of a decision, generally speaking, it's always good to make the decision. If you're 50-50, like, make the change, if you will, rather than keeping it as is. And like, that's just a universal rule. Like, if you're in an hour between taking a new job or breaking up with your girlfriend or any kind of big decision that you're 50-50 on, the universal rule is make the change, don't hold. So I should have gone with Kobe, LeBron James, whoever the hell said that. Yeah, so I should have done that. So that's a lesson learned. But it's not a bad. It's still a red arrow currently, up 28k. So I can't really complain about that. So, but yeah, it all hangs in the balance. And what's making it worse is that they've brought in these mini league cup competitions now this year, haven't they? Which are really good, I think. And I'm in the quarterfinal against another guy, and I think he had Laporte, and he caught up with me. So it's like a bench boost against Laporte. Anyway, yeah. So that's me. It's all to play for, isn't it?
Yeah, as you said, there's so much more to come in this game week. So it seems weird, kind of summarizing and evaluating now. But yeah, decent. I think a lot of the big ones that people have touted, the big players, they have done okay, have done all right. Like, I don't feel terrible about having them for 37, 38. So that's always a positive as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with those 2 game weeks left, it's a different types of decision needs to be made with just 2 game weeks left, I think, don't they? Rather than, it's short-term investments now. So that'll be interesting as we go into the into 37. So should we talk about 37 then? What's going on?
So there's doublers, Jack. There's 5
every week.
Villa, Burnley, Palace, Everton, Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few doublers in there. Whoever's jumped on that, I know we both kind of tried to get on the Leicester, Everton, and almost everyone's got a Burnley asset kicking about somewhere. So good to carry them into this next 37 game week. But what we want to talk about is who are the best assets from those doublers, because as you said, short term, that's all you're looking at. You're in 37, you want to probably bring in a doubler, let's be honest, don't you? But that's a question in itself.
Maybe. So, yeah. Should we maybe go through each doublers? Maybe just go through each of the 5 teams, talk about their fixtures and which assets are good in them. And then after that, maybe say, okay, but what about these single game week assets that we shouldn't ignore? Because if you're on a free hit, the temptation can be, we'll just load fully up with doublers and happy days. But I think with a blank game week like this, where those teams are kind of middling to bad, and there's only 5 of them, you should keep some heavy hitters from the single game week teams in, shouldn't you? But let's talk about that after, shall we?
Yeah.
So I know we've obviously got the FA Cup final to contend with as well that we'll talk about. and how that can impact Liverpool and Chelsea assets. So we'll talk about that after this. So we'll start with my beloved Villa, Josh. They've got Palace and Burnley, both home games. I feel like they're one of the better teams to pick from in this week. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they've got some nice assets at nice prices as well, let alone looking at a team that could do something. 2 home fixtures against Palace are decent, but they're not like top 6, are they, for example? And Burnley are there for points. I think they're to be taking points off of from those Villa assets. So I feel bad like this on me recommending the Villa players, Jack. So let me kick it back to you because you're the Villa fan. Who are the main men?
The main men. I think there's a few for once, actually. So I think there's 2 or 3 that are really, really good options. If I was free hitting, I'd probably bring 3 Villa players in. And it would probably be 3 of these 4. It would probably be Cash, Digne, Watkins, and Ings. So I guess I'll start with them. Why? Cash and Digne are both fullbacks, both locked in now. We can safely say Digne's kind of come back from the dead out of nowhere and seems to be doing well. He did well in the other game. The last couple of games he's done really well in, and Gerrard just loves him when he's fit. He'll always play him. And then Matty Cash as well is a lock. He scored a goal about 2 months ago, and since then he's got the classic bit between his teeth. He keeps shooting, kind of Cancelo style, but never scoring. So you never know. Against these teams, he could bang. So I think our defenders, they're both good. And then Watkins and Ings, Gerrard seems to be insisting on playing them both if they're both fit now. I think Ings is the more differential pick if you want to go for him, because a lot of people have Watkins, but they're both really good picks, I think, and might even be worth doubling up on. I'd say Watkins is 100% nailed. Ings seems definitely nailed, but does have random injury niggles now and then, so maybe picking him for a double isn't the best. So it's those 4 that I think are really good. Obviously, I've missed out the midfielders, which is a real kick in the teeth because Coutinho was a popular pick for the week just gone because he had this double-double, but he got dropped for Buendia in the last game. And it'll be interesting if he gets picked tonight because Buendia has been killing it recently off the bench for Coutinho. He's been doing more than Coutinho's been doing in 15 minutes than Coutinho's been doing in the 75. And he's obviously being rewarded for that now. And when he got the start, he absolutely smashed it, even though it was Norwich. So with those 2, it's very difficult to know who is going to play out of them two, because with Watkins and Ings both starting, it's only going to be one of them. And he may just rotate them. So I view those 2 as having a single game week now. So I'm probably looking to shift Coutinho out this week, even though he's on paper got the double. So that's my Villa analysis there.
Lovely. Yeah, I like it. Defenders like it. Midfield, yeah, reason to be cautious. And my only point on the attack is I've got Watkins, but if I could have my time again, I'd pick Ings, I think.
Really?
And the more I've looked into it is, yeah, Watkins been more nailed, and that's been the argument to pick him throughout this season. But like you said, maybe it's only a small sample size, but Stevie seems to be playing both of them. And I think Ings has been better when he's been on the pitch. And just bringing it up now. So I know this is over the whole season, so it's hard to pick it apart, but Watkins has got 114 points over the season. Ings has got 100 points. There's only 14 points between them, but Ings has had 1,000 less minutes.
It's wild, isn't it? Yeah.
So his returns have been great, like points per minute is far greater. So when he's on the pitch, I think he's shown to be a bigger threat. And
he's a better
take away that Watkins starting thing, then yeah,
he's a better striker than Watkins, no doubt about it. He just is a better finisher, and a better, just a better attacker. I would say just a great guy, just a really good guy. But yeah, I mean, looking at their XG per 90, it's actually quite similar. And Watkins is actually above him slightly in that. And XG 90 and XA 90 across the whole season is very, very close. So yeah, I mean, Watkins 10 goals, 1 assist, Danny Ings 7 goals, 6 assists. So Ings is playing maybe more of that supplementary role, But I do think if one of them is bearing down on goal, you want it to be Ings over Watkins. And yeah, I'd probably agree with you on that pick, Ings over Ollie. I probably would. Yeah, Ollie's been very hot and cold because, like you say, he's played way more minutes and hasn't really delivered like he did last season, maybe.
They're both good picks is the bottom line.
I think they're both good. There seems to be strikers emerging now that are worth it, whereas a few weeks ago we were saying there's none. But I think there are a couple now. But I don't think doubling up is the worst option if you're on the free hit. Yeah. So good. That's Villa done. Burnley, Josh. I feel like you've had more Burnley assets than me this season. You dabbled in the Weghorst experiment. You had Ben Mee on your bench for what felt like 2 years. Are you still going to keep hold of those Burnley boys, or are you done?
They're gone, Jack. They were gone with the
wild card.
Final wild card. So
thank God.
Yeah, I think they did that annoying thing where they just did enough to keep you interested.
Yeah.
Like so Roberts was the one when I finally got rid of me. I still had Roberts sat in defence, and it was like he'd not play, and then you think I'm going to get him out, and he gets a random start and get a clean sheet. You're like, what the hell?
He got a goal, didn't he? Did he get a goal? He got a crazy random goal at one point, Roberts.
And it's just and suddenly like, okay, maybe I will keep him for another few games.
And they just kept having doubles, didn't they, Burnley? They just kept. They were the only team that would double for 3 weeks in a row or something. So
they look great there. And Veggie, I think he in himself didn't look bad, and in terms of eye test, he wasn't terrible. He was in the mix. He was a threat sometimes, but he had some chances which he was not putting away. And you think, I know potential points there, but I just think playing for Burnley, he was never going to get a boatload of chances. So there were definitely better options elsewhere. But the one I'm potentially interested in, and I'm not interested in, but to recommend, I think is Cornet, because since the beginning of April, in terms of those stats, like his XG isn't terrible. I think he's got 2 goals, 1 assist, an XG of 3.12, and an XA of 0.94. So those aren't terrible stats, and he's in the top 10, for example, of all players since the beginning of April for that. So not terrible stats at all.
With him, it's just the question of he just seems to get benched randomly, doesn't he? Did you read that thing about him last week where he supposedly asked to be returned to his parent club, and Burnley were like, there is no parent club. Like, you're not on loan. We are your parent club. So I don't know if that was true, but I thought it was quite funny. And more alarmingly, is that an insight into his mindset of, get me out of here. But I agree, he's the most talented player they've got by far, by a long way, I think. So
he's a threat.
He is, yeah. And I think with Weghorst, they have got Vidra. Barnes played the other day. They've got Rodriguez. I think he is prone to rotation as well, Weghorst. I think he hasn't done enough with those runner starts to cement him in, has he?
No. So I think, you're right. The summary of this is there's just no one that tasty for 37 or 38 for Burnley.
No. And Spurs and Villa away, both games, it's not good fixtures, is it? So leave Burnley alone. Is that bottom line on them, I think, isn't it?
Good. Yeah. Nice and easy.
Yeah. Good. Up next, Josh, a team I'm definitely interested in, Crystal Palace. How are you feeling about Palace? They've got Villa away and Everton away. So not bad fixtures, not great fixtures, both away games, but they're on a bit of form at the minute. What do you think of Palace?
Yeah, you know what? I was looking forward to talking about Palace, actually, because I know you were excited about them. And I just wanted to see if you could, pull me onto that exciting train, the Crystal Palace train, and see what's going
on Palace. Well, I say it's the Palace train. I say it's the Palace train. It's really the Zaha train, I think, because he is. I mean, he's killing it lately, isn't he? Let me just get up his.
Since
situation.
In the last 6 games, he's had 4 goals.
You've got it.
His XG is 3.52, so he's actually better than. We talked about Cornet stats. It's better than Cornet. 3.52 XG, 0.98 XA. So, but those 4 goals is what you'd want to be looking at from an FPL perspective when he's returning.
Yeah. He's brilliant. I think he's brilliant. He's on penalties. He's just in that vein of form now where that he goes through. He is streaky, isn't he? But if you can catch him when he's in this form and he's happy, and I think that's where he is now, then he's a must-have. I'm thinking of getting him and captaining him next week, to be fair. I think he's that good. And yeah, I think he's the best double game week option, really. But they've also got some good other options, I think. I think Klein in defence has really flown under the radar and looks really good. So if you've got these Alonso and James assets that I've got, it's him or Digne or Cash, as mentioned, I think are the three best doubling defensive options. So just having a look at Klein, I think he got an assist the other day. And they're just really good defensively at the moment. They randomly dropped their goalie, didn't they, Palace, on the weekend? I don't know what the story is with that. But he's played the last 10 games, 90 minutes, 7, 6, 7 in his last 3. And yeah, he looks brilliant. Return from the dead, Nathaniel Klein.
And he's cheap, 4.3. I mean, when I think Palace defence, I've generally this year I've thought Anderson, but not really ever thought enough of bringing him in. Just thought, if I wanted to go for a Palace defence, I'd probably bring in Anderson. But he's probably, because he plays central, he's not going to be as much of a threat. But he always seems to be threatening. So there's 0.3 between him, so that's another reason to maybe lean towards Klein as a more of an enabler. But I think interesting.
I like him. Yeah, I like Klein a lot. Their other assets, it's trickier. They kind of suffer from. There's too many of them. So Edouard, Ayew, and Mateta. I won't mention Benteke, but Edouard, Ayew, Mateta, Eze, Schlupp. They're all quite similar, I think, and you just don't know which of them are going to start. Gallagher's the only other one who he's really cooled off lately in terms of returns, I think. So yeah, he hasn't got a return in 10 game weeks now.
Since 26.
Yeah, after his amazing start. But I don't think he's the worst option. Still, we know what he can do. But Zaha is just so standout above the others because he's nailed. He's on pens. He's on form. I do like them as players, Edouard, Mateta, but you just don't. They could easily be on the bench for one of these 2 games, is what I would say.
Yeah, and Zaha is one of those players that you want to jump on him when they're on form, aren't they? Like they are streaky, but normally when they hit form, they're just they take on the world, can't they? Like they're just that good. He does have the talent. It's just whether his mindset's in the right place.
And he's got Man United last game of the season. He'll love to get one over on them.
He'll want to smash them.
Yeah, he'll love to get one over on them. And yeah, decent. As a Villa fan, I worry playing against him, and Everton should definitely worry about him. Even though Pickford been on form. So yeah, there you go. Palace, really good assets there. Everton, Josh, the team on everyone's lips at the moment for good and bad reasons. How do you feel about them? Brentford at home, Palace at home, good fixtures.
Brentford for sure. The Palace one, again, same argument we said before. Not a top 6 team, but you might as well consider them close to with how difficult they've been to play this year. But yeah, the Brentford at home, and they are a doubling team, Everton, and a team that have shown some grit recently. So the assets for me, I think that jump out. Now they're in a back 5 or back 3 with the 2 wide attacking defenders like left and right. Mickey looks good. Like pointing him out since the change of shape, he is really getting forward on that left hand side. And Mikalenko.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, for me, it's only really Gordon and Richarlison. The other 2 to look at. So Richarlison hit great form recently. Definitely a shout up top. And then Gordon has just looked a threat all season for them.
Yeah, Gordon. I was a bit disappointed. He is looking a real threat, but he's not quite getting there returns wise, is he, Gordon? He's just so cheap that you kind of just have to get him because he's that good value, isn't he? Returns wise, he's nothing special. But it's kind of like what you expect for 4.7, isn't it? And it enables stuff elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it is a risk, isn't it? Like, but I think you're not to try and make too much of a comparison, but for me, I think there's parallels to like Ramsey, for example, at Villa. Like,
yeah,
he's done it in some games. He's not
definitely
that consistent, but at his price, it's worth a punt, especially when they've got a double. But obviously Ramsey's potentially injured, isn't he, for Villa? So, but that's the comparison I have in my head.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and obviously Holgate got the goal, didn't he? He's really cheap. If you fancy, but I think if you're the other defenders we've mentioned, so Digne, Klein, Cash, Mikolenko, they're just better options than a Holgate, and they're cheap as well. So it's unlikely you'll need to make that crazy saving of 4.2 of Holgate at the back if you're free hitting or not, really. Those and four we've mentioned, I think, are the best picks. Again. Well, right, don't be blinded by one goal. It's Holgate. He's crap. He is actually crap, isn't he? And same with Keane. I mean, yeah, they're going to be playing, but may as well get someone with some attacking threat to compensate that. Because I don't think Pickford will be keeping these clean sheets for long. He's getting absolutely peppered still.
Yeah.
As good as he has been. So, yeah, I actually think Pickford's probably the best goalie to have, though, while we're on there. We haven't really mentioned goalies yet, but
at the doublers.
I think so. What do you think? Gay, maybe Gay, but he just got injured. So what happened there? Not Gay, Guaita, sorry.
Yeah.
Burnley, Pope's got tough fixtures. And then Villa, Martinez, I think is too expensive. So
yeah, it's a shout. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not like in love with the idea of bringing in Pickford, but I think out of the doublers, he's probably, if the keeper's the position because of the way your team set up that you're going to make the change, then
if you're free hitting, isn't it? It's if you're free hitting it. Yeah, like I've got Schmeichel and I'm not looking forward to that. No. I'm really not. So yeah. So yeah, there we go. There's Everton. Yeah, some amazing, isn't it? How there can be bright sparks in terrible teams. And like a good team, like say Wolves, we don't want any of their players. It's weird how it works. I feel like we've never talked about Wolves once in this whole year.
Just not exciting. They're just weird. Coldly efficient.
Yeah, maybe Semedo at the start. I don't know, but we just have not mentioned Wolves ever, have we?
No, I feel like it's because they are a good team, and their individuals, like their individual sparks, have either left the club or are not on form this year.
They spread it around, don't they?
Yeah.
Like people would say Neves is one of their best players. He just never gets goals and assists unless they're bangers. Yeah.
But great in terms of real life football, just not FPL.
Yeah, exactly that. So we got one more team, Leicester, Josh. So they're out of Europe. They're out of their little conference. And they're a weird one, aren't they, Leicester? What do you think of Leicester?
Weird. I mean, I feel like because they've been focusing so much on Europe up until this point, we've been in this kind of whirlwind of not really knowing who's going to play because they're being rested before or after one of the European games. And then now we find ourselves in a position where, okay, they don't have anything to play for, but what's Brendan going to do now? Is he just suddenly going to revert to the strongest team? I mean, you'd expect so, but you've had other players which have come in the Prem and maybe done all right. So it's like, is it going to be some kind of hybrid of that team? But everyone's been kind of saying Maddie, Dewsbury Hall, for example, and then the strikers again. Like you just can't speak with any certainty, can you? So it's high risk.
It feels like Maddison's got some kind of injury or something that he's been carrying. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, I think that
is just start and then benched. So
yeah, Barnes. Yeah, I mean, I love not having any of their outfield players. And I don't really like having Schmeichel, but yeah, Dakary, Nacho, you don't know who's going to start there. Vardy was on the bench, so maybe he'll get some minutes, but it's just their season's done, and I think Brendan was really going for that Conference League, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And now that's done, they're probably just like, well, forget this year then. It's over. Because I don't think they can even make. There are so many European spots now, aren't there? They probably can make a spot, but where are they in the Prem? I'm just going to have a look. I couldn't, like that middle section of the Premier League, I just couldn't tell you who was in what order. Oh, they're down to 14th now. Actually, they haven't won in 5 games. They've been awful, haven't they? I didn't know they were that far down.
Basket.
We're ahead of them. I didn't know that at all. We're in 11th and they're 14th. That is awful.
Villa.
Leicester are bad, actually, aren't they? They've had a shocker. So their season is and they are 2 games in hand, to be fair. But I think their season, even if they win both of those, they'll still be 10th. So I think they're just done, aren't they? They're done.
With the lack of a consistent team is, I think, and the injuries they've had this year have been killer for them.
Yeah.
Bottom line is
avoid.
There isn't anyone we can strongly recommend, especially not over some of the other players we picked from the other doublers. So
yeah, that's right. So Josh, it feels like we've really only recommended Villa, Palace, and Everton, haven't we? Asset wise, out of these 5, avoid Burnley and Leicester. So if you just stick with the free hit theme, if you were building one, would you take 3 players from each of these teams, or would you? So that would be 9 players, leaving you 2 from single game week teams, and you could pretty much afford anyone if you went with 3-3-3 here because they're so cheap. Would you do that and maybe go with a Salah and a Son, or a KDB and a Son, or would you actually put the brakes on a bit with that and get more single? Who are the single game weekers you think are must-haves? Is a better way of asking that.
I think Son is someone that can hurt team. Like if you don't own him, and I don't own him, he's just hurt me so much over the last 6 game weeks.
Yeah.
And I think even in a game, against Liverpool, Spurs we're not getting that many chances. They didn't have that many shots comparably, but they just were clinical. I mean, great pass from Sessegnon, but
his finishing's outrageous, isn't it?
He's just he finds his place himself in the right spot, or he does it all himself. So I think in terms of threat, he's probably. I did a little TikTok saying I think that Salah was the better for the double, and I could still be proven right, but I'm not expecting to be. I think some will end up with more points this week, and I think he is definitely the on form, like kind of premium midfielder at the moment. So if you're free hitting, I think you'd have to pick him, especially against Burnley. And then apart from that, it does get tricky because I don't think I can hand on heart recommend Salah for this game week.
Well, you wouldn't pick him in a free hit even?
No, I don't think I would. And that's partly down to the FA Cup game, and we will get into that a little bit. But you should know, you pointed this out to me, Jack, actually, but you should know, shouldn't you, who's played and how they've got on in terms of injuries or minutes played ahead of picking for the game week 37. But I just still don't think he's not on it at the moment. And you can save some money if you need to. Or if you're free hitting, you might not need to, but he's just not on it. And we say with strikers, you go with form. We've said that throughout, haven't we? It's proven to be true. And like the tales of like King and stuff like that, we've got burnt with the stats and just never came to fruition with the points. I think take that approach now with Salah. I think he's just not doing it in terms of points returns.
That's a big call, man. If you were not on a free hit, would you take Salah out? Like, are you going to do Salah to Son?
No, don't get me wrong. If you're free hitting, I think you can just compare them both in the call like a day. Like I've already got Salah, so I'd be burning a transfer to get over to Son.
Sure.
And you'd say he's still pushing for the golden boot, blah blah blah. They're playing Southampton, etc., etc., etc. There's still lots of points to say pick him, but I think if you're free hitting with a clean slate, I wouldn't pick him.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at he's got Wolves and Southampton the final 2. It's just that question is, will he play, isn't it, in the FA Cup final? So I guess we could quickly touch on that. So the beauty of the deadline is that the FA Cup final's on the Saturday and the fixtures are on the Sunday. So the deadline's after the FA Cup final. So you could, if he plays that whole game and maybe even extra time in there, you could make that call of, well, maybe he'll be benched in the Prem, especially as the Prem seems to be slipping away now from Liverpool. Like if they don't get a win tonight at Villa, it's game over, isn't it, really? For the Prem.
Yeah, I still think that he'll want to play, and I still think that unless he's got a knock, he will play because he's going for the golden boot.
Yeah.
And I think Klopp recognises that, doesn't he? Like the main man going for the golden boot, he'll play as many minutes as possible.
Yeah,
and he had his rest. He had his rest already.
But
I still think he'll get minutes. But I think the bigger issue is that he's not returning.
Yeah, I think tonight's a big one, isn't it, for him? I think if he returns tonight, that'll settle our minds a bit. Because he was going through a bit of a patch, wasn't he? And then he got 2 against Man U. And sort of everyone was like, oh, it's okay, it's Salah, don't worry. But then he's dipped again a little bit since then. So, yeah, I'm just thinking selfishly and weighing up if I get rid of him for a Zaha, for example, and then upgrade a Pookie to an Ings or a Watkins, because that would enable me to do that. Or do I get a defender in anyway? But yeah, it's Salah is a bit of a conundrum now. I'm going to be watching him with a keen, close eye tonight for sure, if he plays, if he does play. But like you say, I think you made good points about the Golden Boot thing and Klopp wanting him to do that.
Push for it big time.
Yeah. When's the Champions League final?
Good question. I think it's after the end of the Prem season, isn't it? I believe it typically is. Is
it now?
So we shall double check.
It's not, God, it feels weird that we're coming to the end of the season now. It just sneaks up on you and then suddenly it's there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So the Wolves game is the final game of the season for Liverpool on the 22nd of May, and the Champions League finals on 28th.
All right. So it's not like he'll need to be rested for that Wolves game in theory, is it?
No, it's just this FA Cup which could get in the way of the Southampton game.
Yeah.
If it made selection.
Interesting. Good. Okay. So Salah's, we mentioned Salah's son. Anyone else for this week you think actually I'd probably free hit them in? We haven't mentioned City yet, but obviously City is City. They're playing West Ham away, so not the easiest game. What do you think of City?
I mean, they're good. Again, it's picking the right players, isn't it? And I think probably one of the standout, KDB always is a consideration for them, but Jesus has been pretty tasty for them in recent games. Again, it's just whether you know how many minutes he's going to get, but in the last 6 games for them, 6 goals, 1 assist. So, and then out of all the players from the beginning of April, some teams have played 7, some teams have played 6, so it skews it a little bit, but he's the highest of all the, 6. The only person ahead of him is Richarlison, who's played 7 games. So he's pretty much the highest, XG in that period. A man on form.
Yeah, weird one, G. I just feel he could just be dropped at any time. Jesus.
Yeah, big time.
Like, it's just, I wouldn't feel comfortable having him. I guess if you're free hitting, you can load your bench with other good players that you fancy. So if he does take the hit, then you can get him in. But yeah, I mean, I was going to say Mahrez obviously got rested fully in that last game. So if you're feeling really punty, if Mahrez gets a start, he often returns, doesn't he? But
and then Cancelo,
difficult.
Obviously.
And Cancelo, he's just he's good, isn't he? Yeah, I just wish he was just slightly better at finishing. Otherwise, he'd be like the best asset in the game by far. But he is great. And
of course, sorry, Jack. One last one is Leandro Bossard. Of course, you have to bring him in.
Killing it.
His stats are actually unreal at the moment. He's at 4 goals, 2 assists in the last 6, and he's over 2 in both, like 2.72 for XG, 2.1 for XA. So
what a player. He is so good, Trossard. Like, the skill he's got is outrageous, and he's got the output. He's like, he's like a good Tadic who has skill but also can put the ball where he needs to. Like, he's class, I think.
Yeah.
There's a reason he plays for Belgium, isn't it?
Exactly.
And Brighton are good. And they've got, Leeds look woeful against Arsenal in that first half. So, yeah, I mean, Leeds will be fighting for their life, won't they, in that home game against Brighton. And Brighton, in theory, should be on the beach, even though they've been killing it against teams. So, yeah, he's not a bad pick, Trossard. You're right. You are very right. And then we said maybe this could be our first ever mention of Wolves, but they've got Norwich at home. Norwich are completely cooked. It's just, you were kind of right. Who do you pick in that Wolves team? Fabio Silva's just rubbish. So I'm not sure there's anyone.
It's not worth going there, is it?
It's not, is it?
Great fixture, but we keep on saying for strikers, and this is from your research from the summer as well, everything says with attacking players go form over fixtures. So
true.
It just doesn't matter that they're playing Norwich. Maybe bring a defender in for the clean sheet, because that's where fixtures come in better. But don't want to look at their strikers.
Very true, man. Very true. Okay. Well, there you have it. I think there aren't many. So there aren't many like massively standout single game week players. I don't think it's fair to say. I think Son is the standout. And then I think going with Kane with Son against Burnley is not the worst shout either. I don't think KDB is the worst shout, and I don't hate the Salah shout because you'll have the budget for him. It's just see how he does tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're chasing rank as well, it's worth saying at this point in the season, take some risks. I mean, the one thing I have noticed at looking at all the stats and looking at the table of XG is it's not premiums. It's not packed for premiums since April. Like from the top down, Richarlison, Jesus, Nketiah, Welbeck, Zaha, Werner, Cornet, Bruno Guimaraes, Ronaldo and Tony. I mean,
Bruno.
You would not call that for the top XG players in the last 6-7 games. So
no, it's mad, isn't it? There'll be some great punts in that last game week, I think. But I'm just definitely going to go for a wild punt, I think. It's been helping me out, the punty side. I've gotten very lucky in that Salah's form has dipped since I've started being punty. Because if he just carried on his amazing form, I would have been just toast because everyone captained him. There've been so many weeks where he was the captain and I just took the risk and went with some random dude, and it paid off. Mainly Son, to be fair. But yeah, good. I think, was that it, Josh? Was that the agenda?
It's just our plan. So, like in summary, what are you actually doing?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. How could I miss our plans? How could I miss our plans? Well, yeah. I mean, I've touched on it. I'm definitely bringing Zaha in, probably for the captaincy. If I choose to keep Salah, it will probably be Zaha for Coutinho. Sad to say, and it just feels so horrible taking out a doubler. But I just view Coutinho as a singular, as I said. So it'll probably be Zaha for Coutinho, and then a James or an Alonso to either Digne or Klein at Palace. But if I feel bullshit, I might go Salah to Zaha, and then upgrade Pukki to an Ings or an Ollie Watkins. So that's the kind of hinge that I'm on, really. And that'll keep Coutinho. So unsure, Josh, unsure. What are you feeling?
Yeah, all good options. Me, yeah, probably the two players that I would think about getting out are Pukki and Mount.
Pukki's been a massive disappointment, isn't he?
Yeah, hate him. So the obvious move there is Mount to Zaha. Because, like you said, the double, he's on form, and even the game week 38 United shout fixture, I think, isn't terrible for them. In fact, like you said, he'll want to do well. So, yeah, quite simple. And Pukki, I don't really know who I'd want to go directly from him, from where to go from that with that money. So, Mount to Zaha and just bench Pukki, I think, is where I'm at.
Bench him, yeah. Mount to Zaha to me, don't even overthink that.
It's a gimme.
Just do it, man. Just do it. And then would you be looking to somehow get Son in for the last game week, or are you just going to pray, close your eyes and pray with Son now?
No, I think Son that ship has sailed long ago.
Right.
It's too late for me to try and move my team around to do that.
Man.
So
here's hoping. God, they got Burnley and Norwich as well the last two games. I
know. So we'll see. Maybe I'll change my tune, but
with if Salah gets injured or something, that opens up the whole game, doesn't it, to everyone?
That's the only move I make. Because for me, it is literally Salah and Son are going to be fighting out for the Golden Boot. I think they're both probably bang. I think they'll both at least score one in the last games to come. It would be nice to have both of them, but just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you do in my shoes with my options there? So Coutinho out for Zaha. or Salah out for Zaha?
Considering Coutinho was benched, and you don't really know how much he's going to play.
It's true.
I mean, that's the shout there, because it's not that we dislike Salah. I just think that he suddenly slipped out of like the top tier, god tier level of asset, and he's worth so much that you can do a lot with that money. He's not terrible at all. I think he's like losing stock, and Son's gaining stock, so they've kind of found themselves almost. Well, I wouldn't say level, because Son's form at the moment is incredible.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Coutinho, I don't think there's many reasons to keep hold of him. I think
it's a good show. Again, I'll keep an eye on tonight. If he gets benched again tonight, then that's just tells me he's out of favour in favour of Buendia, yeah. But if he plays and performs, then it's a trickier call. But yeah, very good. All right, Josh. Well, it's a good job we're not recording tonight, because it's Villa Liverpool and we'd be arguing. So
exactly.
Yeah. Are you going to be watching it?
Yeah. If the little baby manages to keep quiet and let you watch, hopefully he does. We'll get him in the Liverpool strip and
come on, Teddy. Yeah, very good. Great. Well, that's the pod, I think.
That is the pod. Nothing more to say. Obviously, check out TikToks. We're still giving more advice as things change, like injury news comes out or conferences and stuff. So check it out for more up-to-date stuff. And like and subscribe as always, I guess, Jack.
Yes, indeed, Josh. Yeah, like, subscribe. Really helps. Follow us on stuff. Yeah, keep that engagement up. Great. Love it. All right. Thanks, Josh. Speak soon. Jack. Cheers, guys. Bye.